Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SP Reviews, where today we're going to be checking out a track from an act named Violet Wish titled Sick Again. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a track on the screen. We're going to listen through it from start to finish, and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go. Really lush tones of those synths. The bass. And just a seamless transition into the hook. There's a great amount of tension in that last chord of that progression there. It's an uncomfortable situation harmonically, but I think it's meant to represent what's going on within the story. I mean, I think it's just great storytelling here, having the video to kind of assist in ascertaining that, like, we're maybe sort of, we're looking through WebMD to find out what's wrong, and we found out where's the plague and stuff like that. Am I sick again, or am I full of it? And guitar solos. Double time now. Wild, man. It's a wild adventure we went on there. The lyrics are so minimalist, but it's the story that the music really tells the story, I suppose. And welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named Violet Wish titled Sick Again. Now, this song, I think that there is something quite special about it, in the sense that, for a few different reasons we'll discuss. The first of it being that the story is not only very simple to sort of take at face value, but the added context from the video, as well as just the imagery within it. The added context, what I mean, is it's not just simply about an illness. You also see like the pictures of the media and stuff like that. You wonder whether you're actually sick, or if it's other people telling you that you're sick or something like that, or if you're sick in comparison to the rest of the world or something like that. It opens up in regards to the potential context later on. I think that's great sort of thematic development. And it's creative, man. But it's also just that it doesn't try to sort of pigeonhole itself into a box too much. It's not the same thing the entire time. The lyrics, the way they're sung in that vocal range there with a solid vocal technique is calming and soothing. It's sort of post-rockish kind of, it's really relaxing. And I like that. It's okay to have a bit of edge with stuff. But it depends on whether it's appropriate for the overall situation. I think that what we have here going on with Violet Wish is that they have chosen some really lovely melodies to go alongside the harmonies and the arrangement and stuff like that. And additional to that, They just they have an octave range that they simmer in, and then they're just out. They know that the strength lies not only with what they're talking about, but also how it interacts with the rest of the arrangement. Because this track at about 2 minutes 48, it basically involves verses. Oh, it's not necessarily it's choruses, right? No, I think there were just like a couple of choruses, and then what there were like sort of instrumental sections with the synths, the bass, and the drums, and the other sort of layers there, in addition to the guitar solo we had later on. It's kind of rare that I get songs that don't have verse sections when they have choruses. It's almost like we have a question that we're asking, or several questions within those hooks, the two of them, and the music is giving us additional bits of intrigue as we go along. There's enough here to keep things interesting the entire time. I think the solo at near the end of the track was a masterstroke, primarily because it's something we didn't have before then, but it's a nice sort of replacement or alternate to the vocal lead in a similar sort of range. It also, I think, mirrors some of the elements we have with those sequences there, and sort of makes a sort of space for itself on its own as well. It's got a wistful kind of reverb tone to it that suits the overall aesthetic. I think the guitar played was elegant, the solo phrasing was solid, great use of minor scale shapes there. In addition to that, with the synths, kind of chimey and really pretty up in that higher range there, with delays and reverb tails there, kind of popping off around the top and mid-range, to mix in with some like vibrato or repeater stuff, kind of like, I'm not sure if that's a specific, that could be a guitar effect, it could also be a synth effect, but the way it contrasts to the more pointed notes of those little lead plucks is kind of pretty. The bass is well on the low end. It sort of complements the root notes really nicely. We have a similar sort of theme that we have throughout, with the root notes being consistent, and the bass keeps things nice and steady. And when it's not there, you kind of miss it. The drums are nice and consistent as well, kind of rolling with eighth notes there. It's a slow, we do go double time at some point, I think, which was kind of nice. It was really slick to switch up the intensity and the speed of it, almost to maybe represent what was going on freneticism of some of the instruments at that point in time, or a lack of it. But just if you have the same drum groove the entire time throughout a song, it can be a little bit sort of monotonous. So it's good to switch that up. Either have drums or don't, or do sort of go between half time or normal time or double time, so to have some contrast in there. We had that within this piece, which I thought was effective. The way that the instruments came together in regards to the overall theme, there were some, there were typically minor or major triads, but we had this kind of awkward kind of interval going on there, some phrasing there from one of the elements that kind of clashed. It almost had like a sort of a major seventh in there, or maybe a flat second or something, or maybe even like a diminished. It was just really awkward sounding, and I like that because it almost sounds a bit like a fever dream with the way things interact together, how misty and kind of legato-ish it is. It's things swirl around in your head, but also you have that bit of kind of ickiness to kind of bring you back into the lull of the nightmare. Not only do the lyrics insinuate a dissonance, so does the music, and that way they're connected, there's synergy, and it works. In addition to that, I don't think there was a note out of place within the performance itself. Stellar. The studio recording, mixing, and mastering was well done. I'm really happy with it. I thought they phrased themselves well. No complaints whatsoever. Ari, the presence of the vocals in the mix, the guitars, synth, bass, drums were all nicely leveled in the frequency spectrum in a stereo field. There was dynamic range here, things were not the same loudness the entire time. There was a nice sort of warbling or flanging or manipulation of some of those notes there, as if it was going through an LP or something like that, which I thought was kind of cool, like it's some sort of broken retrospective nostalgic record or something. And it was nice and loud without pumping too, so the bus compression and limiting was handled. Ultimately, I've got no real complaints about this. I thought that this is just, because I've reviewed Violet Wish's stuff before, it's another solid track. I recommend having a listen to it on your own without me interrupting. But again, this is Sick Again from Violet Wish, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show them some love via their various social medias and the YouTube page, and stay cool, stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as you the hell more than ever thought of crazy stuff going on in the world, and I'll catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.